Now the news for the East Midlands. I'm Carolyn Moses. Good afternoon. First this lunchtime, those running a Nottingham food bank say the cost of living crisis is turning into a cost of living emergency. Arnold Food Bank serves twice as many people than the national average, but the donations it relies on are starting to drop too. And it's seeing more working people like nurses and carers who are struggling to make ends meet. Simon Hare reports.
We're always short of meat. We're always short of tin fruit.
A tour of the Arnold Food Bank by council, supermarket and community group representatives. This Trussell Trust service has just had its busiest ever month, providing emergency food to 650 people. But they're gearing up for it to get even busier.
It's worrying times for any food bank, no matter where they're located. The cost of living crisis, or as we're now calling it, the cost of living emergency, is affecting every single person in the country. But those on the lowest incomes are being disproportionately squeezed.
A survey of the people that use this food bank found that almost 2/3 were registered disabled, and almost 4 out of 5 of them were lone adults or single parents. And more than 3/4 lived in rented accommodation.
We're seeing much more people, nurses, care workers, people like that are in work, and the usual refrain is, I usually give and now I'm here and I can't believe I'm here.
And the added problem is that as more people struggle with rising prices, the level and quality of donations has dwindled.
We rely on people, the generosity of people donating into us, and our donations are going down, but our referral numbers are going up. So it's how we can kind of meet that need throughout the winter and beyond as the cost of living continues.
The Trussell Trust says it wants to get to the point that food banks are no longer needed. But in the short term, it says they're needed more than ever. Simon Hare, BBC East Midlands Today, Nottingham.
It's emerged the government's being billed more than £500,000 for the electricity at one of its new Nottingham offices. There had been complaints that the new HMRC Unity Square building near the railway station was lit up like a Christmas tree overnight. A government minister says the lights do have motion sensors, but settings will be tweaked to ensure they're not on for longer periods than expected. Now, they're a critical part of river ecosystems and were once very common. Today, though, the European eel is listed as critically endangered, and experts think part of the reason is all the obstacles placed in the way of their epic migratory journeys. So, a concerted effort's now underway to build them some bypasses, as our environment correspondent Sally Bowman reports.
Today's human visitors to the River Trent near Stoke Bardolph had only travelled a few miles to open their new eel pass.
So I've lifted the lid so you can see what's inside it.
But the European eels they're trying to help have travelled a lot further. Spawned in the Sargasso Sea in Bermuda, the eggs drift thousands of miles in ocean currents, hatching on the way. They arrive here as glass eels, then swim upstream to mature. But then they meet this.
To you and me, this just looks like a weir, but to an eel, it's an impassable barrier, interrupting not just a journey, but a reproductive cycle. What they need is a way around.
Which is why charity, the Canal and River Trust, has joined forces with the Environment Agency and commercial partners to build a £60,000 bypass.
The eels can find the water which has got lower velocity, and they can work their way through here up on these tiles which are all still wet, but the water's not flowing over them fast.
I think they're a fascinating species. I mean, it's an early sort of childhood memory for me. It's going fishing and having an eel wrapped around my wrist and being absolutely petrified. But in those days, they were really common when I was growing up, and now obviously they're much more endangered. And that's why it's really important that we work with partners to do projects like this and really sort of protect the eel's future.
Next year, the Trust will be looking for volunteers to net the travelling eels here and do a head count. Only then will we know whether the pass is really working. Sally Bowman, BBC East Midlands Today, Nottinghamshire.
It's the big fundraising day for BBC Children in Need on Friday. And in the East Midlands, the charity's currently funding 110 projects through £6.5 million. And as we'll find out tonight, one of them is Sinfonia Viva, a Derby orchestra, which gives bespoke one-to-one music therapy to children with special educational needs.
This project, supported by Children in Need, is working across special schools throughout the East Midlands, providing children and young people with one-to-one engagement with professional musicians, all led by the child, with the child at the centre of it. This project is all about enabling and empowering children and young people to express themselves, to communicate, and to really develop themselves through music.
Now, the saying goes, if you get lost, find a police officer. And 10-year-old Rosie from Leicestershire did just that. Rosie, though, is in fact a border collie. She bolted after being spooked by a firework whilst out on a walk and finding herself lost. Rosie decided to hand herself into the police. And thanks to the right leads, officers were able to reunite her with her owners. Victoria Hicks has the story.
Meet Rosie, the rescue border collie, enjoying plenty of treats back at her home in Loughborough.
Come on then, walkies. Whoa!
But on her favourite walk to Southfields Park...
This way, that's it.
Rosie, who's 10, ran away from her owner Steve.
There you go.
How did you lose Rosie when you got to the park?
A firework went off and she's very frightened of fireworks. She ran away and went under the hedge. I thought I'd find her cowering under it and be able to soothe her, but she had gone into the council offices, and when I got there, she'd left the council offices and was nowhere to be seen.
But this clever dog wasn't missing for long because she knew exactly what to do. Rosie managed to find her way here to Loughborough Police Station, where she calmly walked through the doors and up to the front desk. And like every good police case, it was all captured on CCTV.
Oh, I was so pleased and so happy she was safe, and so proud of her that she's clever enough to find her way to the police station.
Unaware that Rosie was actually safe and sound, owner Steve was still frantically searching for her. What did the police say when they rang?
Obviously, I'd got dog tag on with her name and my contact number on, and they said, "Do you have a border collie?" and said that she'd walked up to the door and gone up to the counter and handed herself in. So I was able to calm him down, because he was really quite upset that she'd run off.
How relieved were you to hear that she was back safe at home?
I was very relieved. It's always a worry when a dog runs off, but she's very clever. She's found her way home before, and this time she went to the police station instead of going home.
And what better reward for a clever dog than plenty of ball games on her favourite park? Victoria Hicks, BBC East Midlands Today, Loughborough.
I was going to say the long arm of the poor, but we're going to need long arms for our umbrellas, aren't we, Sarah?
Yeah, you might need to hold on to your brolly as well, Carolyn, today, because it is quite blustery outside, in addition to the rain that we've seen for a good percentage of this morning, captured nicely by one of our weather watchers in Ripley, the clouds as they were increasing first thing. But what we are seeing out there now is this weather front sort of very slowly departing, so it's going to take its time. It might just linger a little bit longer across the eastern side of the country, and coming in behind that, also some heavy, possibly thundery showers around later today and overnight for some. I think really as we start to see the back of that rain, though, there is the potential for the skies to just brighten a little bit. The wind just dies down slightly as well, but it's still quite a breezy day with highs of 13 Celsius. And then through the evening and overnight, further showers with us for a time, the odd heavy one and possibly thundery one as well, before it gradually becomes a little bit quieter. With the clearer skies, it's going to be quite chilly tonight, temperatures dropping down to lows of around 4 Celsius into the early hours. And tomorrow, although a cold start initially, variable amounts of cloud, a few more brighter intervals around, and just 1 or 2 showers still with us through the daytime, with the wind gradually strengthening again into the afternoon and through the evening. But it will feel a bit colder again tomorrow. Temperatures are back to where they should be for the time of year, with highs of 10 Celsius.
OK, thanks very much, Sarah. Well, that's it for now. Emily's here at 6:30 with East Midlands Today. But from the lunchtime team, whatever you're doing, have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.